Welcome back to the live stream coverage of the U.S. Open. Joining me today for the Molly Brown Fury pool play game is Darius Tay. Hey, Darius.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. You've been out today playing and throwing. Can you tell us a little bit about how the weather's behaving this fine day in Blaine, Minnesota?
Yeah, so most of the games that I've seen have kind of been sort of upwind, downwind, but I mean, a lot of these teams are really good, so they could still move the disc with ease.
Absolutely. We've also noticed a fair number of defensive zone looks. Have you seen anything that's been particularly effective so far today?
So I saw Public Enemy put a 4-man cup against Seattle Mixtape, and that kind of slowed their offense down just a little bit, not too much. It made them have to swing the disc like one extra than normal, but that's the only kind of zone that I've seen kind of slow a team down.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to start here with the Molly Brown Fury game. Again, two very talented teams in the women's division, both coming off of an appearance at the World's Tournament in Cincinnati a week or two ago. Both of them using U.S. Open as an opportunity to kind of reinvest in their 2018 season. Sounds like Fury is going to be fine-tuning their play, and Molly Brown is really trying to ramp up off of their World's experience. Anything in particular that you think we should be looking for during this game?
I know Molly Brown, you can see her with the disc right now, Manuela Cardenas. She's being added to their roster for the rest of the season, so she should definitely have some highlight plays in this game.
Very exciting. She pulls for Molly Brown to start, and we are underway here.
All right, looks like Molly Brown is coming in person defense here.
Fury working through a number of their very capable players. And Molly Brown just working in that person defense.
I think a lot of teams usually like to start out in person defense, just to kind of see what throws the other team has before they throw in their zones.
Absolutely. Snyder with the disc for Fury. Finding a tight reset window.
Nice, good quick throw.
Right. The other story, of course, for Fury is that Serge Griffith has been added to their roster for the remainder of this season. So a lot of firepower added on both sides of the disc here. Can you talk about the level of play here? I know that you coach in the women's division as well.
Yes, so the women's division, especially with teams like this where just about the entire roster is super athletic. They've got just about every single throw. And if you're playing defense, if you're not playing honest defense, when you're playing person defense, you could easily get beat to one side or the other. And so athleticism, I think, for a lot of these teams is really big. Even though both teams are super athletic, it definitely helps out, especially with floaty disc in the wind.
Absolutely. Well, the wind is probably about 15 miles an hour right now. You can see the activity on some of the shade tents if you're looking for a gauge of how that might affect players. Most of the teams who have been warming up usually can handle it. It's more of a thrower's wind, but if these points turn into long grinded out type points, then later in the game we might see a little bit more fatigue happen and a little more errant passes.
Yeah, and that's when you'll see a lot more different types of zones come out.
Payne pulling for Fury. Molly Brown coming out in what looks like a side stack. Applegate with the disc for Molly Brown to Bacher.
All right, so it looks like Molly Brown went from a side stack to a host stack. Oh, wow, Aaron throw here.
Yeah, Miner's throw is picked off. Fury with their first opportunity to break. Nazarov, upline to Reed.
Oh, good throw.
Payne to Nazarov, a stoppage.
Yeah, so Fury here has a good opportunity to get the first break of the game, kind of going upwind here. Nice, good layout grab.
A low throw, but it is completed, and Fury is up.
I'm interested to see if now Fury is going to throw in a zone. Wow, beautiful throw. Going upwind, you definitely want to get that low release on that throw. If you get it too high, that disc is just going to pop in the air. Gives the defender some time to get under it.
So Fury with a quick lead, 2-0. Still early in this game. Both teams still trying out a couple different offensive looks. I'm sure we'll start to see some strategy as they figure out, as Darius mentioned, kind of what the favorite items are, what the throws that are actually being looked for are identified. Always fun to take something away from a team once you figure out what they like to do.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how Schaffner and Cardenas play together because they both like the give and go kind of offense, and if Fury comes down in a zone, I don't think it'd be too much trouble for them since they love those short passes and quick release.
So there's not a Fury roster in the book. So I call it this. All
right, still a person defense here.
Applegate with the frisbee. Out to Schaffner. Schaffner very active in her fakes, looking for number 65, Ives. Ives to Picaithley. Back to Applegate. Back to Picaithley. Waiting for a downfield receiver to get a little bit of separation, finding Schaffner on the break side. Back to Applegate. And into Schaffner in that tight space.
Yeah, it's interesting to see Fury go to a backhand force that close to the end zone. I know teams are usually good with all their throws, but a backhand force close to the end zone kind of makes it a little bit easier on that strike and gives you a little bit more time to step out to make that throw.
Good control here in a wind condition. Right now it feels like the wind is blowing right into our booth, which is the near sideline on your stream. So that meant that that throw with a little bit of edge on it had to go against the wind to drop in there for Schaffner.
It's a good thing Molly Brown got this upwind break because it's kind of hard to come back from a 3-0 deficit early in a game. I know they can do it, but you would rather it be a lot closer than that.
Absolutely. And especially in pool play games, it's important to keep your rhythm. We talked with some of the Molly Brown players before the game, and they're really focused on energy this game. They really enjoy playing Fury. There are a lot of good matchups for them. A lot of them have known each other for a really long time. So just bringing the right amount of energy to sustain them through pool play and into the next game.
Yeah, a lot of these games are really fun to watch, and for some of the players, they go from one roster to the other, and so some of them have even played together plenty of times before.
Alicia Dixon pulling for Molly Brown. She's another standout player who played Worlds with a different roster and has now joined the Molly Brown roster. That's Becca Miller with the D. Pelletier to Dixon.
All right, so Fury's still forcing back in, maybe a little straight up ever so often.
Dixon's throw pops a little bit too high, and Fury is back on offense. Nazarov with the disc. Nice rip there.
Oh, just off the tip of her fingers.
A lot of receivers in that space, but competing with that back line is hard to focus on and figure out whether you can toe the line, catch it, and read it correctly all in the same moment.
Yeah, that's a lot to think about in a split second. Have Molly Brown in a vert stack here.
Taggart finds Dixon up line. Dixon to Cardenas. To Lindgren. Working it up this tight sideline. Lindgren putting up a Blady throw that is contested to number 47, Becca Miller. And Fury will take over possession as Nazarov picks up the disc.
Yeah, going downwind, you think that it's so much easier to throw, but if you're trying to fit it with a defender right there, it's a little tighter of a window. Maybe you put it a little bit on their back shoulder so they can get to it and kind of box out that defender a little bit.
Good mark here from Dixon. Able to find Cree Howard upfield. She puts up a pretty backhand floating in space. It is just a bit too far for Nazarov, but there is a call on the throw. No, there is no call. Call has been retracted.
It's good spirit. All right, Molly Brown still in this vert stack set.
Cardenas to Lindgren. Throw definitely affected by the wind there. Snyder with the disc.
Ooh, another throw kind of affected by the wind. The wind's starting to pick up a little bit, and I think that's affecting some of their throws. They have it in their hand ready to throw, and then the wind picks up right before that release, and it kind of changes the way they release that disc.
Dixon really anchoring this Molly Brown offense right now. Lindgren putting out a Blady backhand for Cardenas as the intended target.
It's been a few turnovers this point, and I mean, the wind's starting to really pick up. And so I want to see what kind of adjustments these teams kind of make here.
A lot of good spacing here from Fury, looking for a break look. That disc rising over the hands of Nazarov. This Nazarov-Cardenas matchup is going to be really interesting.
Oh yeah, they're both really athletic, fast girls, so I'm expected to tight defense. Molly Brown hasn't had too many opportunities or too many open receivers.
Still of the field. Just a general on the field. Running the show over there. Fury scores to make it 3-1.
Nice.
Just a grinded out point, Darius.
Yeah. And you would think that when you have turnovers back and forth that, oh no, I need to call a timeout, I need to call a timeout. And personally, I would probably call a timeout. But these teams are just so high level, so smart with the disc that they have a little bit of patience and they could work it and they have good throws. And you saw right there that she found the right receiver and just hit her in the end zone.
Yep, that was Kaler with the score. I think we are considering the left side end zone the upwind side right now, yes?
Yeah, the wind's kind of going sort of at a crosswind, blowing from one corner of the end zone to the other.
Payne will pull for the Fury D line here.
So the last 2 points, Molly Brown's come out in a side stack. I wonder if they do that side stack again to see if they can move the disc upfield.
Yeah, it seems like a good idea to make that space, especially when you're not quite sure how precise your throw will be into the wind. The idea, too, making the lanes a little bit bigger so that the defenders can stay out of them. I think it would be a good look for them going upwind.
All right, so they're switching it up here. Going to a host stack.
Pesh with the disc for Molly Brown. Talked about this a little bit in my first game of the day, but left-handed ultimate players have a little bit of an advantage in the wind just because the spin on the disc is a little bit different. So we'll see how much Pesh works for Molly Brown in this game, being one of the only left-handed players on the field. mishandled by Miner.
Yeah, and I feel like sometimes lefties move a little bit quicker with their release. They throw the disc and then they're automatically gone.
Reed to Finney, back to Reed.
Opie Payne. Oh.
Ooh, coming in a little bit hot. That over-the-top backhand looked pretty, and there were two receivers down there. Came in a little bit too fast, maybe at a little bit too high of a height for either to read properly.
All right, Molly Brown staying in this host stack set. Oh, nice play. Good layout.
Yep, that was an excellent look there on that tight break side and a very good play there. There's a stoppage here. Looks like Liza Miner
Just got tangled there.
just got tangled. A little bit of contact there, incidental of course, in those tight lanes. Helton has the disc for Fury.
Looks like Fury's going to set up in their little vert stack here.
Back to Finney, another incidental contact.
Yeah, you get closer to the end zone and defenders are definitely trying to work on switching. Offensive players are trying to figure out if it's my time to cut. Can I move into the open side right now, or should I just wait for that next break side cut? Nice,
Payne
good up
to
line strike.
Helton. Fury now up 4-1. Molly Brown certainly with the opportunities and defensive pressure to cause turnovers and cause breaks, just a few inches off right now.
Yeah, they've had a few opportunities downwind as well, and I think there was a few throws they just missed that if they would have capitalized on, this would kind of be a different game.
Molly Brown is going to take a timeout right now. So Darius, tell me a little bit more about your role this weekend. Who are you playing with? Who are you coaching? How's your season going?
Yes, so I'm actually coaching Texas's U17 team. This is our second year coming to ICC, and we're definitely looking to build off of last year. And I mean, we've got a few returners, and then there's a lot of kids that are just new. Some of them new to Ultimate this past year, and some of them just new to competitive play. So I'm actually excited for them because this is an opportunity I know I wish I would have had when I was kind of their age.
Absolutely. The YCC season, of course, culminating this weekend. That means play that starts tomorrow is building towards that championship. How do you focus on the balance between coaching and playing your own season? How does that work for you in situations like this?
Yeah, so it's tough. I'm a player that, I mean, sometimes I'll take a year off just because I'm getting a little bit older. I want to save my body for Masters, really. But coaching, it's kind of tough because you have to manage your own workouts as well as manage going to practice and then setting up a practice plan for your players as well.
Very cool. Well, coming out of this timeout, again, it's 4-1. Fury is up. Molly Brown took this opportunity to regroup, and they will be on offense going downwind. So it'll be interesting to see if they make any adjustments here.
Yeah, I'm hoping that Molly Brown can kind of spread the field out. I know they've been running that side stack, and that side stack's amazing because it isolates that one cutter and gives them enough time to get open, and then that next cutter could fill in. I would like to see them take deeper cuts here. Take a little bit deeper cuts to kind of spread the field a little bit more, to kind of give them a little bit more opportunities for throwing lanes. All right, kind of waiting for the wind to die down on this pull.
That's Kaler with the pull for Fury. Lori with the disc for Molly Brown. To Applegate. It's Molly Brown handler set with the
No, I think we have an injury on the field.
Okay. Certainly a stoppage.
Yeah, so here you see Molly Brown, they're making good cuts, but they're so tight on these cuts that there's not as much lanes for them to make a throw into. I'm hoping that here they're gonna take someone deep, take them out of that space.
Especially going downwind, those deep looks should be an option for any of these very talented throwers. Contested catch there, Keithley has it. Back to Applegate. Another stoppage here. Cardenas trying to find Applegate up line. Good bid there, a lot of contact. Applegate around to Keithley. Finding Megan Ives with that bid.
Yeah, you can kind of see some of these handlers kind of looking downfield and pointing. There it is. There's our downfield cut. Kind of opens up the field a little bit more. Nice, good attack.
Klupek back to Keithley, to Applegate, who's running the show here. Applegate to Cardenas for Denver's second point of the game. It's currently 4-2. So how does that Hosack motion compare to what we've seen in prior points? Why did it work a little bit better this time, Darius?
So early on in that point, you had a Hosack to where, I mean, you definitely had a lot more space, a lot more room for the girls to cut into, and more options for the ladies to make those cuts. But towards once they got the disc to half filled, you saw a giant deep cut, which created a lot more space for someone to fill in under. And then there was a 20-yard throw downfield, and now the defense is having to reel back and play more open field defense.
Absolutely, you gotta play honest D going downwind, especially when those big looks come off. Really admire all of these athletes' ability to change direction on a dime and get a lot of positive yardage when they choose to cut hard and make space for their teammates. It's really great to see. We're going to see Alicia Dixon with another pull for Molly Brown. Still haven't seen any zone looks or any kind of lane poaching from either of these teams. It should be interesting to see if they are saving that for later or if they would rather kind of use this game to invest in their person defense.
And I think that could also be like they just respect each other too much to understand that if we give them just a little bit of space that they're going to capitalize on it. And so we want to make sure that we're playing tight defense here. Nice, good bid.
Rudin to Cooper. Really easy hold there from Fury, even though the wind picked up a little bit and you could see edge coming on those discs.
Yeah, they were making some great cuts there, and they were just finding that open receiver. And once you find that open receiver and you have confidence to make that throw, you're definitely going to move your offense downfield.
So it's 5-2 Fury. Molly Brown with some flashes of promise on their O-line. Gonna need to find a way to get a stop here against Fury. If you're the coach of this team, what kind of adjustment might you make on defense to make Fury's offensive life a little harder?
Well, I know they've been kind of respecting them and playing person defense, but maybe I'll kind of switch it up a little bit and just force them to have to move the disc a little bit more. The more opportunities that they're going to throw the disc, then there's more opportunities for maybe an errant throw here, a drop here or there. But yeah, I would probably switch it up. And I think that Molly Brown on offense, some of their points have kind of taken a little bit longer, and that gives Fury's offense some time to rest on the sideline, and they're not coming in a little bit tired. I think this last point wasn't too long, and now Molly Brown's offense is right back on the field.
For sure. Yep, Payne will pull again for Fury. on the showcase field right now, so there are a lot of fans amassing along the sideline to catch a glimpse of this game. Definitely a matchup that I think everyone enjoys watching. Certainly every time that we see this game, it's definitely worth tuning into.
Now, these are two top teams, and they're always in the hunt for the championship at Nationals. And so anytime you get an opportunity to watch them live, I would definitely I would suggest go ahead and taking that opportunity.
Lori with the disc for Molly Brown to Miner. Miner rips a backhand and finds her receiver, number 12, Liz Kalupik.
Yeah, at this point, Molly Brown really stretched the field. Those first two cuts were probably about a good 5-10 yards downfield before making that under. And they had a lot more space for those shorter cuts to complete the distance of those shorter cuts and then have a continuation downfield to someone that's going deep in stride in the end zone.
It was a great read by number 12, Kalupik, as well. She knew that her defender was coming in hot, and she went up just a little bit early to power catch that in the space. Now we'll see Molly Brown pull and see what perhaps they, what next look that maybe they perhaps have in their arsenal to try to get Fury off of their rhythm.
Yeah, I'm hoping that they do come up with something to kind of make Fury kind of take a lot more throws and stop them a little bit more.
Absolutely. Both of these teams, of course, coming off of a World's appearance a few weeks ago. Neither one quite satisfied with the way that turned out. A lot of conversations around mental toughness during that long week, especially with the way the weather shifted. We talked to both teams ahead of time, and they both kind of have some mental strategies going on about that. Anything that you think the viewers would find interesting about that?
Yeah, I like how both teams had the mindset of, like, Worlds isn't the peak of our season. It's not what we're like putting all of our season into. It's part of our season, and we want to make sure that we have a good showing at Worlds, but there's more than just that. They've got the US Open, they've got the Pro Championships, and Nationals is not until October. And so it's good that you don't want to peak too early in the season, but you want to make sure that you're still playing high level and working towards a goal.
Snyder puts up a backhand that's a little bit floaty, but Finney is able to save possession. Wow. Snyder to Kaler. There is a call on the field. It might come back. Just some amazing fake work by Snyder there. Got her mark to turn their head and throw a break throw to score.
Yeah, Fury's offense kind of looks pretty smooth. Even some of their throws may not be perfect, but they're putting it into the correct space to where that receiver can get to it.
Absolutely. It's also all about yardage gain, rather. You see all of these players who played together for so long really able to generate like plus 30 yards per cut rather than plus 10 or 12. And it makes a big difference to be able to have confidence in your throwers that they can hit those throws even in the wind, and to set up those cuts to keep churning out the way you want your offense to cycle. It's been really impressive to see them just kind of chew up the field in 2 passes maybe, and then really focus on their end zone discipline. Again, thank you for joining us at the US Open today. Live stream coverage is brought to you by Fulcrum Media. We really appreciate their ability to help a new generation of women be what they can see now. Obviously, 2 teams that are a really good example of finding a role model in this community. A number of these women are leaders in their own right, high school coaches, really powerful women in the equity conversation throughout the community right now. We're really excited to have events this weekend that are focused on equity and diversity, and of course the gumball on Saturday night, which is a really good opportunity for the young women of YCC to meet some of their role models. I can't imagine how excited they must be to have that opportunity. Excellent footwork here by Schaffner, asking for a call from the observer who has called her in. Schaffner to Applegate. Applegate, nice leading pass to Schaffner, just flips in the wind a little bit on that high side.
Yeah, she wanted to grab it early and then keep that disc flow going, looking for that next continuation throw.
Nazarov and Mead get the disc over to Payne. Mead goes up line, finding
Nice.
Griffiths.
Yeah, Fury's offense looks really smooth right now. Some of their cutters are just finding that open space, and they're getting rewarded for making good cuts.
Nice find there. Nazarov with the disc, which is where you want it. Back to Payne. Handler's content to just work it patiently until they find someone with separation. And throwing breaks into the upwind kind of at will right now.
Yeah, when you're this close to the end zone and you're in sort of like an upwind end zone spot, it's okay to lose yards because you're just creating more space for yourself.
A foul was called downfield in the end zone. We'll see where this comes in. Molly Brown doing a lot of switching in the Handler set. Nazarov to Mead to
Wow,
Lou.
what a good throw. That was a good quick throw. As soon as she caught it, she was like ready to make that next continuation throw.
Absolutely. So Lou finds Serge Griffith in the end zone. Another huge pickup for Fury. Griffith, of course, standout player, has been on national teams, been on Riot a long time. One of those role models that I'm sure a number of YCC young women are going to ask for an autograph or something at one of these events. Really cool to see her fitting in with her new team, even after a long time on a rival team.
Coaching a youth team, it's amazing when you do have a lot of these top players that do show up at your practice, and they are a good influence because they do kind of teach you a little bit more high level stuff. But they're also good role models because they do a lot for the community as well. And I know a bunch of ladies on both of those teams are coaching high school teams in their off season.
Yeah, it's really great. I know there have been a number of stories related to me about the power of making sure that these young women see someone that looks like they do, being able to make these plays, being able to lay out really high up in the air, able to sky, able to get Ds, able to throw these throws, which is powerful for anyone, right? So again, this kind of coverage is so crucial. And the combination of the event here, making sure that the YCC kids are also role models to kind of the next level down. You coach a U17 team. I'm sure that there are players on your team who look up to the U20, who look up to the U24. And the more we can show all of those kids that someone even their age can make these plays, it's so great for our community to see that.
All right, so we have our first zone here. And it looks like they're just in a sort of in an umbrella zone. Oh, and now they're off of it. So just a zone for a couple of throws.
Pitt Caithley putting up a big backhand huck to Kalupik. It is really close to the sideline and well defended. Finney to Reed.
Yeah, so we were waiting for our first zone point, and we just got it.
Absolutely. McKeever with the disc. Throwing a little bit of a happy flick. So Molly Brown recovers possession going upwind. Pesh with the disc to Beecher. Nice break there to Kalupik. Back to Minor. Back to Beecher.
Nice catch.
To Minor. Beecher smiling during that point, waiting for her cutters to tell her what they want, I think. Nice break look there by Beecher. And Picayley hauls it in on a sliding pass. That's upwind. That's great.
Yeah, and so right there, Molly Brown definitely moved the disc a lot better, and they had a little patience. They were throwing some fakes, and I saw two really good inside backhand breaks with the wind kind of coming directly at their face. And look at this throw. Nice throw to the corner, and what a great sliding grab.
That's a really hard throw in this wind. That's the high side, so it's essentially an upwind throw. She also threw a break throw in order to get, and it got around her mark to get that up there. Kind of amazing that it was able to hang in the air that long. But Keithley is a great receiver for a throw like that because she covers so much ground. She's so athletic, so willing to put her body on the ground. It's I put it up to her every time there.
Yeah, and I love that she does everything with a smile.
Yeah.
And she's always having fun, which is amazing. And that's good for some of the young players to see.
Absolutely. I'm not sure that we talk about mental toughness enough with the younger groups of players yet, but I think it's starting to be a little bit more of a trendy thing to talk about, certainly in club teams. And I think it's been a larger discussion after the World's Games were moved indoors, which was such a, you talk about controlling the controllables. You can't control that. So you got to make sure that you work with your team to establish some sort of baseline so that you can get through any of that. Sounds like these teams, Molly Brown and Fury, both did a pretty good job of doing that at Worlds. Got Rudin with the disc here, looking for Snyder. Snyder with two receivers in the same space around Nazarov.
So you've seen Fury looks very comfortable going upwind, and that's after they got that first upwind break.
Wow.
Nice, good throw.
That's Snyder with kind of the same throw that we just saw from Beecher. It was a break flick throw to the high side, kind of a anything you can do, I can do too. And
I believe that Molly Brown going upwind, I could see them also making a good point going upwind, because that first break throw, it's kind of mental toughness. Okay, we know that we can do it, and after we do it once, we're just going to try to keep doing it again.
Absolutely. Definitely empowering to players to know what can be done and then what should be done later. Well, we are at halftime here. It is 8-4 Fury. So far, really the story of this game, probably the cleanliness and the smooth nature of the Fury O-line.
Yeah, so Fury's definitely had a lot of really good cuts, but they've been patient with a lot of their throws. And if they see an open receiver, they're hitting that open receiver and trusting that she's going to make a good decision on the next throw.
Absolutely. So if you're in the Molly Brown huddle or shade tent right now, what kind of message are you giving these players about, adjustments or sideline interaction? Or is there anything as a coach that you could do right now to kind of kick them into the next gear?
Yeah, I like to start with stuff positive. And so I'll talk about that first upwind score that we had. It's like, okay, so we've made this upwind score, and we know that we can do this. And we definitely want to make sure that we spread the field out just a little bit more whenever we are on offense.
Awesome. We are going to have a discussion with one of the Fury players here. We only have 2 headsets, so you're going to have to give her yours.
Do I take it down there?
She might have to climb up here. We're just trying to get some information from the Fury players right now. I don't know. We're going to take a quick break and figure this out while you watch some highlights from the first half. Again, this is Erin Maraca and Darius Tay coming to you live from US Open, and we will be right back.
Let's hold outside for her to talk about. Mention how much you love your youth players. Woo! Youth players!
I'm Erin Maraca. I'm back with you here at the US Open during the third round of pool play game, Molly Brown versus Fury. Fury is up at half 8-4, and I have Meaty from Fury. Midi, tell us a little bit about the first half. What do you feel like Fury is doing really well right now? Is there anything that we can expect in the second half that we haven't already seen?
Well, one of our focuses going into the weekend was to win the first game to 3 of every game and coming out really aggressive, not just on offense and D, but also from our sideline and having the energy and having like our whole team together to win that first game to 3. And so I think that mentality set the foundation, and then just being really aggressive with our legs, but also taking care of the discs. So kind of like having that balance on O. And then early in the season, we've been focusing a lot on D, on defensive footwork, on our marks. And so, yeah, we're going to just continue to build that intensity. We'll definitely expect Molly Brown to get better. And so, yeah, we're just going to be prepared for that, but just keep doing our thing, stay aggressive.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you talk to the team about when you come to US Open that's different than other events? Do you plan on interacting with the youth teams? Do you make it a priority to attend some of these equity or GUM events that happen throughout the weekend?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think we'll have players attending the equity event tonight. And then our whole team is actually going to be going to the GUM ball event. It's something we're really excited about. We're partnering with GUM this year, so we're one of their ambassador teams. And yeah, it's something we're really excited for. And then on a personal level, I coach a lot of the players who are here for YCC along with a couple others on the team. And like having them here support our games and then us being able to go over there and support them is just really exciting and like a special opportunity.
Absolutely. Does the YCC environment in the Bay Area kind of generate a legacy feel for Fury? Do you feel like YCC players kind of graduate from YCC and then come to Fury tryouts? Does it build the talent pool for you? Do you benefit from that?
I haven't been in the Bay that long, so it's hard to say. But we definitely have high schoolers come out to our tryouts, and it's a really awesome experience. And there's a lot of talent in the Bay. I think it kind of depends. A lot of people come to the Bay for job reasons or different things. They're not necessarily like local, but it's something we would love to build. We do clinics with a lot of the local teams and with YCC, so it's something I'd like to see us grow in.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I thank you for your time during halftime. I know that your team is going to huddle up soon, so appreciate you coming out here, Meaty.
Yeah.
It's great to meet you. Have a great second half.
Yeah, thanks so much.
All right.
Inside window with our down slope. Cool.
Thank you for joining us here at the US Open, where you're joining us live for the second half of the Molly Brown Fury pool play game. I'm here with Darius T. I'm Erin Maraca. We're really pleased to bring you this coverage of really high-level women's division play today in Blaine, Minnesota. Of course, a lot of other events going on this weekend at this US Open YCC tournament combination. Really excited to bring you some live streams later this weekend of really high-level youth club play. Obviously, the culmination of their season is this weekend, whereas in the ICC with the adult club teams, even though there are some international teams in the group, this is kind of a midpoint of a lot of club seasons right now, or even on the international side, part of a much longer arc in preparation for some European championships into next year even. Darius, can you remind the viewers at home kind of what the key takeaways were from the first half in this game?
Yeah, so in that first half, you saw Fury kind of move the disc with ease. I don't think they were challenged too much defensively. They saw the open receiver, they hit that open receiver. I think Molly Brown early on in that first half had a few miscues going downwind, and Fury was able to capitalize on that. And really that's the difference, 2 breaks. Or I guess 2 breaks plus a few more scores, but 2 upwind breaks. And that's really kind of put them in a comfortable spot right now.
Absolutely. I think we all are aware of how much higher Molly Brown's ceiling is than the way they're currently playing. Perhaps some new chemistry issues coming off of Worlds and adding a few new players to their roster. Hoping to see a little bit more out of them here as they start on offense going downwind to start. So Payne, of course, with the pull for Fury. It looks like Schaffner catching that pull, ready to go, but offsides has been called, so we will see a re-pull here.
Yeah, I was excited to see Schaffner really attack that disc on that pull. She wanted to keep moving quickly. And that's another thing. If you're on offense, a lot of times you don't really want that defense to get set on you. If they get set on you, then now it makes your cutters have to think about what space they're actually going to cut into instead of being the ones taking the space.
Absolutely. I know Schaffner, we have a lot of film of Schaffner's college career and all-star tours and Worlds appearances, and she is a fan of that throw-and-go kind of fast-moving offense, and that kind of aggressive play style really kind of defines her, and it looks like she really wants to bring that to Molly Brown right now to up the ante, up the energy, and get her team back in this game.
So it seems Fury started with a little bit of a junk zone. Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yep, just a miscue in a tight space there for Molly Brown. Helton putting up a big throw for Payne. A great bid there to try and get the trailing edge, just a bit too far.
Yeah, just a fingertip away.
In this crosswind situation, anything that gets put up to the middle of the field is going to kind of tail back to this left side end zone and this bottom quadrant. We've been seeing it all day so far. Just really starting to be really difficult to read, and the wind starting to pick up just a little bit more. Pick Caithley to Cardenas to Schaffner. A little bit of contact, but no stoppage. Minor. Minor putting up a Blady throw to Schaffner. Excellent read, body position, and snag from Jessie Schaffner.
Yeah,
what a play.
She really attacked that disc too. With a defender really close to you, it's kind of trailing down on you. You don't want to just give up on it and wait for that bounce or that tip. You want to make sure you try and attack that disc no matter where it's put.
Great placement here too. When it came off of Minor's hand, it looked a little too Blady, but works out. And for a receiver of small stature, Jessie plays way, way bigger.
Oh yes, yeah, she's an exciting player. I love how she doesn't let the moment or the matchup kind of get to her. It doesn't matter what level of play she's playing. Like, she puts everything into it.
Definitely the definition of effort there in Jessie Schaffner. Excellent work there. An opportunity here for Molly Brown to maybe play with their defensive set, see if they can get Fury off their rhythm. A hard thing to do, obviously, but even though it is 8-5 and Fury did take half, there is still a lot of game left here. We have almost an hour left of play. Definitely could make moves as long as everyone on Molly Brown kind of follows suit with Schaffner and picks up their energy.
Yeah, it's a long game left. You definitely don't want to give up too early.
Nice pull here from Dixon. Another call, another offsides here. So we will see a repull. So Dixon will have a second effort here on this pull. Pretty similar placement. Fury centers to Snyder.
Coming out of a host stack.
Rudin looking for Kaler.
These receivers are doing a really good job spreading that field. They're making really deep cuts. Oh, almost had that deep, but they're doing a good job of spreading that field, making the defense have to cover the entire field space.
Absolutely. Fury puts another point on the board. It is now 9-5, and we'll see that again. Kaler with this cheeky high release flick IO to Alex Snyder. Just, wow, a lot of spin on that throw. And an excellent play there by the Molly Brown receiver, just couldn't get quite enough of the disc to defend it.
I wonder if Molly Brown's going to come out in another host stack or if they're going to switch their offense and go back to a side stack. Last 2 points I've seen host stack, and they've moved the disc pretty well.
Yep, there's definitely something to be said to shake yourself out of your rhythm if something's not working. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to cash the whole thing, but it's nice to throw another look and get yourself out of that mental space so that you can come back and try again later. Nice hanging pull here from Fury. Schaffner will field it to Applegate. Back to Schaffner. Around to pick Haithley. Fury has some poaches in these lanes right now, trying to take away the downfield lane and force Molly to work it through the handler set some more.
I think Molly Brown's comfortable doing that, taking what they're given. If it's open, just make that throw to that open receiver.
Yep. Excellent throw and grab. That is Liza Minor to Lori, and it is 6-9. Let's watch that again.
So you can kind of see that Molly Brown's offense is getting more and more confidence, no matter if they're going upwind or downwind. And their cutter's just making really good cuts into that deep space, anticipating that next throw.
Great grab there by Lori. Going up super aggressively. The right read. That's also hard to do in wind conditions like this. You're not quite sure if the disc might take a hop, but she nailed it.
With this D-line coming in, I'm interested to see if they're going to throw something, maybe a junk, maybe a cup, maybe a wall defense, a little umbrella, just to kind of slow down this Fury offense a little bit.
I think that's the name of the game. I think you've got it there. Just slow them down, right? Make them do something that isn't the immediate stall 1 decision. Try to get them above stall 4 or 5 in each of their throws. Try to make them take a secondary look. Anything right now to keep them off their rhythm. Still certainly not an insurmountable difference. Fury with a lot of space. Snyder, Nazarov, Kaler to Howard. Just clean.
Clean offense.
Just clean.
Yeah, clean. I mean, they have very much throwing lanes. Like, those throwing lanes are wide open. Those receivers are spreading the field. And that was a perfect dime throw into that end zone.
Yeah, number 47, Kaler, with that assist, finding Howard, Cree Howard, whose name we've said on many live streams many times before. Just a stellar cutter in the backfield there. Also notable is that Fury does an excellent job of spending a little bit of extra time trying to get to that high side. Again, the wind is coming at us in the booth, at where the camera is. And that means that any throw that comes from that high side is automatically easier. So Snyder had the disc and probably could have continued to swing towards us, but instead she broke her mark to hit Nazarov on that highest side. And then when Kaler had it, she was only a few yards off of that high side, which meant that she had 30 horizontal yards of the end zone with which to work and with which to put up that huck.
Yeah, that was a flick huck where she just put the top of the disc with the wind kind of beating down on it. It's not going to fly too far. It's just really just going to sit.
Absolutely. Howard, another receiver that really you could probably put it anywhere, and she's going to make a play or find a way to make a play. Oh, this pull is tailing way out of bounds. So Molly will start with a little bit more favorable field position than they have as of late. And Applegate will pick up and center the disc to be guarded by Finney. Working back through Applegate and Lori. Finding Wynn. Applegate to Kalupik. Back through Beecher. Nice break, IO break. Applegate puts up a backhand to Kalupik. Nice read there. That was clean.
That was clean, yeah. This Molly Brown offense, even though they made a few subs from that last O-line point to this O-line point, they're finding that confidence in that rhythm. And they're just moving the disc at will right now, which is really good. They just have to get some stops on defense.
Absolutely, it does. It feels like the first few points in this game, Molly was a little flat. Fury had a little bit more fire, a little bit more intention. But for a long time now, we've kind of just been trading offensive points. So one of these teams can make a statement on defense if they can find a way to create a stop and maybe switch up what they're looking at to make it harder for the other O-line to do the scoring. Score, of course, here 10-7. Fury is up. Still plenty of time left in this game for Molly Brown to make some moves.
Yeah, there's plenty of time. They just have to tighten up on defense a little bit. If they're going to stay in that person defense, then they've got to stay closer to those receivers, and they've got to make sure they put a tight enough mark to where those throws are more contested.
Really hard to contain the throwers that Fury has on their line. In particular, Nazarov and Snyder, just known for putting on throwing clinics and break clinics all over the place. So it's got to be a challenge in order to do that and to put that on yourself as a mark to stop them from throwing whatever they want.
All right, so Fury started out in a side stack just to kind of get that flow going, and I think they're staying in the side stack with one person in the middle, just kind of cutting in that open space.
Cree Howard finds Johnson on that high side, resetting to Snyder. Snyder has Rudin. Rudin has Cooper. Snyder on the doorstep with a tight IO to Cree Howard.
Man, she is putting on a throwing clinic out here. She's putting on a lot of fakes, all right, getting that mark to move a little bit, and she's got every throw in the book. She's got the inside break, the around break.
Yep. If you could pick one person to have the disc in their hands on the front of the end zone, it's Snyder. Just perfect.
Good footwork on that throw.
Fury doing a really good job of using the full width of the field and all of the space kind of afforded to them. We have another timeout right here for these two teams to regroup or talk about their strategy for the rest of the game. A few things about this event and kind of this year of Ultimate here. Obviously, this year is the 50th anniversary of our lovely sport.
Nice.
So that is being celebrated kind of throughout tournaments over the course of the season, but will culminate in a celebration at Club Nationals in October in San Diego. Here at US Open and the YCC tournament as well, we've already mentioned there is an Equity and Diversity Forum tonight at 5 o'clock on field. I think it was supposed to be on field 2, but they may have moved it to the merch tent. So that might be something worth checking in at HQ about. I know that's going to be a really interesting event with a lot of panelists talking about their life in Ultimate and how it kind of differs from what a lot of us experience. So that'll be super valuable. And then as we talked with Meaty at halftime, the Gumball event is tomorrow night at 5:30 at the stadium. A really good opportunity for our women athletes to connect kind of over generations. So the U17 and the U20 and the adult club players are all going to be in the same space, and it's going to be a really cool opportunity for those young women to meet their role models. US Open, just a good opportunity to connect with the larger community, both kind of that international flavor and over the age groups. As a coach of the U17 team, how much better are these players going to be for having these experiences so early in their career, when those of us who are much, much older didn't get to start playing even until college?
And so I think that something that they can really benefit from is just throwing. The amount of throwing they will do at a younger age will kind of help them out, because now they could try different things. And once they get older, they've played in wind conditions a lot longer, and they understand the dynamics of disc flight in the air.
Applegate finding Pitcaithley on a pretty nice big backhand around, but a small ball miscue results in a turn for Molly Brown, and Fury will recover possession here. And they have a miscue of their own, a tight throw to Nazarov that she bids for, but it's a bit too far. So now we have Applegate, who's running the offense for Molly Brown on the front line of the end zone and is unable to connect with Lori on that high side. Anna Nazarov will pick up for Fury, another stalwart on this Fury team and another one of these powerful role models in the women's Ultimate community. Also coaches, also does a lot for her team. An immediate huck from Finney. Too much power, too strong.
Yeah, that was a great cut. I mean, she saw an opportunity. The defender didn't kind of go with her on that cut. And as a thrower, you see someone wide open, you definitely want to reward them. Just a little bit too far.
Applegate will pick up with 70 yards to go, going downwind.
I like to see more activation going deep here. Nice.
Oh.
Yeah, that was a good cut. And with that cut, she had an opportunity, just slightly too far.
Yeah.
Just a little miscue.
Pitcaithley always very good in space. Cardenas had put up that backhand a little bit low. I'm sure we'll see that again from them, and it'll probably work out next time. Fury back on O, working to that high side again. A flick huck goes up for Payne. She has the disc a few feet out from the end zone. She'll reset it. Molly Brown forcing to that high side now. Here we go.
Kind of a fast break opportunity, but it's okay. I think they're going to kind of move it a little bit slower, try to get some offense set.
This might be the first point of the game with multiple turnovers like this. It's possible I also just, blocked out anything else that happened, but it seemed to be a little bit more difficult this point for either team to score. Is the wind that much stronger? Is it more of a factor, or are we just hitting that point of the game where it's a little bit more fatigue, a little bit more
I think
tired?
it's at that point in the game where you're a little bit mentally fatigued and also physically fatigued, and that kind of goes together just a little bit. And you'll see some things that in the first half it's like, oh, that's there, I'm going to put it. And now it may not be there, and you may put a little bit too much, or you may step out a little too much. But these teams, I mean, they've been here before, and that timeout was a good timeout because Molly Brown really wants to punch this in so that they can get back on defense and try to get an upwind break on that next point. But both teams, they do have sort of a deep roster of ladies that can make good throws, that could make good cuts, and so I don't think physical fatigue is too much at this point in the game. But it's still a factor. You're still running hard and trying to get open whenever you're covered.
Right. It's even just the duration of a single point sometimes. If it's turned over multiple times, if you're a little bit frustrated, if you've been the one making the deep cuts, if you've been the one working or taking the hardest matchup, it can add up on itself. And all these players are super fit and work out all the time with their team. But just the grind. Sometimes the grind is a lot. Applegate puts up a big backhand for Minor. And it is well defended there.
Yeah, a lot of times players want to attack the disc too early on defense, and because they think that I'm there, I could get it. But staying closer to the offensive player and attacking it when they can attack it also helps. Good D right there.
Yeah, Applegate takes it right back for Molly Brown and finds Pitt Caithley, who kick spikes for 8. It is now 8-11. Just to roll back to that defensive play on the huck to Minor, that was number 9, Austin, with the D. She played that disc very well as well. But this Applegate D just kind of poaching the lane in that area and taking the right path. And then off to the races, right? This fast break mentality while the defense isn't in position to recover.
Yeah, whenever you get a catch D, you definitely want to move that disc and progress it up forward, up the field, especially when you outnumber the defense. You have open options.
Absolutely. Well, I'm starting to feel like the wind is definitely picking up. I don't know if you can hear it in our microphones, and nothing has flown off the table or anything like that, but the jerseys on these players, you can see, are rippling a little bit more aggressively. So it should be interesting to see how these two teams, more intentionality probably behind throws, a little bit more spin, hopefully. But we could see a little bit more mayhem here in the next few minutes, depending on how long these gusts last.
Yeah, when it starts to pick up and it starts to gust like this, on defense, even if you're playing person defense, it's okay to flash that lane for a little bit. You make that thrower have to think twice about making that throw, and sometimes they adjust their release as well.
Snyder will pick up for Fury in the middle of the field. Big gainer there to Kaler. Kaler putting up a big throw. It is caught. Excellent.
I don't think Fury cares about the win. They just move the disc at will.
Yeah, that's number 42, Clancy, doing a lot of the work on that point. Read that big throw from Kaler really well.
With a good read right here. She sees the dish, and then she backs up, and then she attacks it.
And of course, making a very conservative, nice reset decision and then getting open immediately. We've seen how powerful that can be in other games today. Catch the huck, reset, get open immediately. Very good pattern. Anyone can follow it.
Yeah.
It's a good way to serve your team.
You don't have to score immediately. You just got to maintain possession, especially when you get closer to that end zone.
Games are to 15, and it is currently 12-8 Fury. For Molly, certainly maybe not the close game that they wanted, but a lot of good things to be seen on both sides of the disc. We've been really pleased to see the level of confidence from Molly Brown increasing over the course of the game on offense. And, you know, it's hard to match just the the smoothness of the Fury offense, but both O-lines looking pretty good right now.
Oh, yes. Yeah, the second half has been really good. And so Molly Brown's one of those teams where they do make adjustments game to game, and so I'm expecting adjustments from point to point, and then if this game happens to not go their way, they're still going to make those adjustments for that next game.
Absolutely. Here's another opportunity. Unfortunately, probably a miscommunication there, so an immediate defensive poach from Fury, and they are off to the races with a small field now going upwind. Reed with the disc, finding Austin again for that score, and that's a break.
Yeah, and even if it's the Fury O-line or the Fury D-line, their offense looks pretty smooth. Right there, just patience, making fakes, resetting the disc, and then a nice break throw to the break side of the field.
Yeah, an over commitment there by Beecher on the D. I know we're all hoping for Molly Brown to ramp up and make some plays. Just looked like she mistimed that a little bit. And in the absence of a mark, Reed able to kind of pick and choose whatever she wants to throw. I think that's 2 goals in a row for number 9, Austin. No, I'm a liar. I'm remembering that she just had that D down there.
Yeah, she had a D. She was in the end zone.
That's what I was remembering.
Yeah.
But clearly doing work on the D-line for Fury and able to haul in that break for her team. I'm sure Molly Brown is going to do a little bit of a debrief there since the miscommunication ended up in that turn. But now we'll get to see what Molly Brown can do going. Do we still feel like that's upwind?
I think the wind's kind of switching on us. It's sort of a crosswind and kind of in our face over here on this side, but it is kind of switching slightly.
Sorry, Minnesota does that sometimes.
Yeah, I actually didn't think it was going to rain this morning, but I guess I should have checked the weather forecast.
Mother Nature in Minnesota is always a factor. It's like the only thing that I'm superstitious about, actually. It can change on a dime. It can come early. It can come late. So far, though, apart from the wind, a pretty beautiful day here in Blaine, Minnesota.
Yeah, and it's getting more beautiful as the day goes on.
Lori to Minor. Minor to Applegate. I think Cardenas maybe thought that was for her for a second. Applegate finds Picaithley on a nicer round. Content to work it in the handler set here. Molly Brown has one of those rosters as well where anyone can really go anywhere on the field and be perfectly effective. So it's interesting to see them cycle through a number of different players in different roles. Minor hitting Cardenas there for the upwind score. So it's 13-9.
And as they moved upfield, they got into a vert stack to kind of create more cutting lanes for those receivers. And they didn't have to force anything to those receivers. Those receivers were making good cuts, but Fury's playing good defense on them. And they're just waiting for that opportunity to where they can cut to an open space on the field.
Absolutely. Another good use of the width of the field. During that replay, we saw Schaffner on the high side, pretty close to that sideline, and then working it the complete 40 yards horizontally in 2 throws, really open up those continue cuts downfield.
Yeah, as a defender, you want to play good tight defense, but you can't stop everything. You're going to take away one thing or another if you're playing on those downfield receivers, and Schaffner was able to pick up on that and get the disc to the opposite side of the field and have an easier cut from those receivers.
So here we'll see Fury on O again, receiving a pull from Alicia Dixon. Cardenas staying on this line, even though she just played on the last line. And a low pull there from Dixon, but it's in bounds, and that is what we're looking for in wind conditions like this.
All right, Fury starting out in a side stack, and kind of switching over to a host stack as they move upfield.
Rudin looking for Ryan. A good bid there.
She just misses it. That was a good throw, a good bid. Here we have an opportunity for Molly Brown to kind of capitalize on this. After that upwind score, you definitely want to finish that break, or finish that next point off with a downwind break.
Johnston and Dixon in the backfield for Molly. There will be a stoppage here. Dixon unmarked right now, looking for Johnston. Another stoppage. Looks like there are some tight lanes.
Yeah, and I see that the disc is closer to this this end zone over here, and I would still like to see a deeper cut to kind of spread it out, and just like that.
Oh, good sky battle and good effort there. Elmore on Molly Brown and number 72, Ryan from Fury. Ryan will take an injury sub. Griffith will come in.
Way to attack the disc. Just came down a little awkwardly.
Griffith to Rudin. Romano with the disc. Back to Johnson. Johnson looking. Nice break throw there to Snyder. Snyder throwing a break. Griffith able to sky that. There is a player down. I believe that is Rudin. So we've seen Snyder throw that break throw to the high side a number of times, but it's an indication of how windy it's gotten that popped. Griffith making an aggressive play on that. Over Rudin perhaps not seeing her.
Yeah, I think she was just coming in to attack the disc, and I mean, she was backing up, and that happens a lot. When you both want to make sure that you're coming down with the disc and you have two people coming into the same area.
Absolutely. Clancy will come in for Rudin, and Griffith will start with the disc again. She resets to Snyder. Snyder throws right to Cardenas, who is, of course, not on her team. Back to Johnston. Molly Gray now with a chance to go downwind. Cardenas putting up a big flick. Helton has position and is easily able to swat that away.
So we haven't seen Cardenas make too many hucks, but I don't think those opportunities have really kind of been there for her. If you know her from playing on Columbia's team, she's definitely one of those players. If she sees a player going, she trusts them enough to put it downfield.
Griffith, guarded by Elmore, looking to reset to Snyder if possible, reaching a high count, and Elmore is able to put that down. Good defense there by Molly Brown. One of the first opportunities on a D and not just an errant incident.
She had a good mark, and she was moving her feet really well, and I mean, that dump defender was so good that there was really no room for Snyder to get open.
This backhand blade works out. Excellent read there by Molly Brown. Couple wind-affected throws and decisions here from Molly Brown, as the edges of the far shade tent have come undone to indicate what's going on in the conditions right now. uncharacteristic drop by Cree Howard there will give Molly Brown a shorter field to work with and possibly an opportunity to get to 10 here.
Nice, we have a one-handler set here.
If anyone can handle that, it's Alika Johnston. There you go.
Nice, good anticipation.
Finding Dixon on that upline cut to get this score, it is 10-13. That's a good grinded out point for Denver, proving that you got to play through it even if it's not pretty.
Yeah, and you can watch Alicia Dixon here, and she sees her defender just take that eye off of her, and then she picks that one moment to beat her to that open side.
Yep. Dixon is a very dynamic player. Another one of these pickups for Molly Brown, who played Worlds with a different roster. And so, you know, getting that kind of talent that comes over to your team, whether they moved for life reasons or what have you, is certainly a boon for them. And I'm sure this whole weekend we'll see these two new pieces in Cardenas and Dixon gradually integrate more and more into the fabric of the team. Already, like, no noticeable flaws.
Yeah.
Just that chemistry can only get better and stronger over the rest of this season.
And I think their playing styles are pretty similar. Cardenas with Molly Brown and also Alicia Dixon. And it's just chemistry and figuring each other out. And making sure that, okay, I know that now you're going to be at that spot, and I'm going to put it there.
Absolutely. This is to stave off game here, so if they can make good decisions and play the type of offense that we know Molly Brown can play, then we get to keep watching this wonderful game. Nice bid there by Applegate to keep it alive. She's been doing a lot for Molly Brown today. She puts up a big backhand rip. Looks like it may have been either a high stall situation or a bit of a field placement decision. So Finney with the disc for Fury with 70 yards to go and maybe the win.
Yeah, Fury starts out again in a side stack, kind of flowing into their host stack. Kind of gives them room to that open side to give that cutter a few more seconds to get open with a huck here.
What a huck here. Griffith will rein that in and return it to Reed. Reed usually a handler behind the disc. So an interesting situation there. A lot of good things there on offense from Fury, but that bladed maybe a little bit more than Reed was intending.
Yeah, and I don't think that was on a high stall count. I think she still had a little bit more time to kind of swing that disc.
So Applegate again with a disc for Molly Brown. Looking for a reset with Picaithley. Picaithley doing a lot of work there, proving that she still has the energy. Oh, here's a big look from Miner, finding Wen.
Oh. Yeah, and she missed it on that first opportunity, and with this win, it's just gonna kind of pop it in an awkward spot.
Finney will anchor this Fury offense with Reed in the backfield. Interesting matchup here, Reed versus Picaithley. Finney putting up a flick huck to Gorlin.
Nice, way to help out on that D.
That is Megan Ives with the help D.
Yeah, Megan Ives wasn't really defending that player, but she saw it and she saw the disc go up in the air and she knew she had an opportunity to go out there and get a D.
Yeah, just really good recognition. The horn has sounded here in this round. And a stoppage. Foul called in this Miner Finney interaction here, it looks like. Can't be sure.
It's always harder after a stoppage, a call, trying to reconfigure yourself and figure out where you are on the field.
Gorlin will tap this disc in for Applegate. Applegate to pick Keithley on that break side.
Nice, Molly Brown making these large cuts, creating enough space for themselves.
Absolutely, I really like this pattern that they're working with. Applegate still running the show here.
Nice, good layout catch.
Excellent save there. Applegate really anchoring Molly Brown right now. Miner with the disc and no mark, close to the end zone. She finds Pitt Keithley to extend this game. That's 11-14.
Pitt Keithley being so well-rounded, started back in the as a handler as the disc moved upfield. She kind of moved into the cutting space, and I mean, she's just finding open spaces for herself and finding different roles for herself to fill on the field.
Absolutely. So with the cap on, essentially that shouldn't really change anything about this game, but for reference, the game is still to 15. The point cap is just now at 16 because Fury had 14 when the horn went out.
And so right here, Molly Brown with Fury going downwind. I'm just looking for something just like earlier, just kind of slowed him down. Right here, you really need a stop, but slowing them down and making sure this isn't just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 easy throws or throws to the open receiver, open side for a score.
Absolutely.
You just want to extend the game a little bit.
And I think they're capable of doing that. There have been some really interesting matchups, and I've seen a number of people kind of rotating through on Molly Brown on some of the key matchups on Fury. But kind of no matter what's been happening so far this game, the Fury O-line has been throwing before stall 2 even. Their downfield looks are so well timed. Those cutters are getting so much separation and good body position, and they're gaining so many yards that it doesn't take very many of those before they find themselves in the end zone, and it feels like it was very simple the whole time.
Yeah, and when those cutters are getting covered, they're making really great breakthroughs to the break side space and continuing that movement.
So Snyder will take this disc to the brick.
All right, Fury coming out in a host stack.
Snyder to Kaler. Kaler to Cooper.
Fury loves that high side. They're always moving that that handler out of that spot, striking them out into the middle, and having that cutter fall into that.
I really like that as a set play. I think I'm going to borrow it.
I think I will borrow it this weekend as well.
The things that you learn from the live stream.
Yeah.
That's one of the benefits of watching such high-level play is you can kind of borrow ideas in zones, in offensive set plays, in the way that individuals throw, in the way they play defense. A really good way to learn. Molly Brown. Nicely read there by Lindgren. What a play there to save possession for Molly Brown. Not the intended target, but
Movement
doing the work.
is really well.
Oh, injury. We have an injury on the field, but Molly Brown is not recognizing the stoppage. The disc will need to come back several throws, which is, of course, unfortunate because Molly Brown was on on a tear there.
Yeah, they were definitely on a roll. They had some good rhythm.
Pitt Keithley will come in for Cardenas, who I think might just be cramping. Hopefully that's all it is. And Tuig will start with the disc and center back to Dixon.
I love the patience here from Molly Brown. They're not taking shots that they don't have to.
Lindgren caught in a high stall situation.
That shot they had to. She was in a high stall count.
Absolutely. Fury with a very good team defense right there. Just making every available look unavailable. Snyder finds Howard on that break throw to Kaler. Kaler will fire.
She has an open receiver down, Keithley.
Rudin.
Wow.
That was incredible.
That was amazing.
Oh, we're going to get to see that again. That was Cooper, number 28, who made a pretty amazing read on a disc that did not connect on the first try.
And that's just not giving up on the disc. The disc is in the air. It could be anyone's disc. She's running down to kind of help out a little bit, bounces up, and she just keeps it up.
Great play. And then she finds Rudin to take it to game. Fury wins. The other thing I really like about that is I think it's tempting to go into that situation and like try to read it better and sky the pile, and she trusted Rudin with the initial path that she was on and just played kind of backup. She was there in case.
Yes.
And it worked out to everyone's, to Fury's benefit rather, and it was a really excellent play made. And then to keep a cool head, right, and that's one of those opportunities to conserve your greatness, and she was able to take a deep breath and make a really calculated throw to Rudin.
Yeah. And also Rudin, I mean, she was the one attacking the disc early. She got on the ground, and she got back up, made a cut to the end zone.
Absolutely. Well, that was a very good game between Fury and Molly Brown. Perhaps a little bit impacted by the wind, but otherwise exactly what we were expecting from these two teams. A high level of play, a consistent level of play, and for two teams who are still kind of in the middle of their season, regardless of coming off of Worlds, still in a place where they haven't reached their full potential yet, which is maybe scary for both teams, especially.
Both of these teams adding players, and I know Fury may have lost a few players, but they did say that this is not their peak. Like, this is not where they're trying to peak. They still have a long season. Molly Brown, I know, is good about making adjustments, and they'll make those adjustments that they need.
So it will be exciting to see these two teams continue to compete at the U.S. Open. We want to thank you for tuning in today to our live stream coverage. I was Erin Maraca. This is Darius Tay.
Thank you.